Chapter 2. Do our lives correspond to the divine program? A man, capital M, was born in the operating room on the second floor of a hospital. The doctors were surprised to see an absolutely healthy baby. Days and months flew by like seconds. The child attended kindergarten, then school, then university. Wise in quotations, educators, teachers, and professors instilled in him some kind of program of life. The man decided that the most important thing in life was to have lots of money, which would enable him to feed himself well, have an apartment, a car, and clothing. And he began to work hard, sometimes even taking 2 shifts a day. Still, the seconds dragged out into years, and when he retired, he had been able to earn enough for a modest 2-room flat and a used car. Long before retiring, he fell in love, got married, divorced, and remarried. His first wife bore him a child, but after the divorce, the child stayed with his mother. A child was born from the second marriage, but he went off to the far north. They talked on the telephone once or twice a year. Seconds counted down to the years of the man's old age. He took ill and died. Such is the sad fate of the majority of people living on the earth today. There is a minority who manage to become famous entertainers, politicians, presidents, or millionaires. Life for this category of people is considered to be more happy, but that is an illusion. Their cares are no fewer than anyone else's, and their end turns out exactly the same: old age, disease, and death. Was such a fate included in the divine program for the residents of the earth? No. The Creator could not predestine such a sad and cruel fate for his children. It was human society itself, under the influence of some kind of powers, that ignored the divine program and started down a path of self-torture and self-destruction. Perhaps somebody doubts the existence of the divine program of human life. After all, it is not something our scholars or politicians talk about. Religions propound God's design, but invariably through intermediaries, and mostly in different ways. About the only thing they agree on is that God exists. Philosophers, and many scholars too, believe in the existence of a higher, rational, intelligent being that has created the visible world and earthly life. It is impossible not to believe this. Everything comprising our world, after all, is too logically interconnected for it to be otherwise. Well, if that is the case, then a supremely rational being could create only a meaningful way, create only that which is eternal, and predestine a joyful perspective for all living beings. First and foremost, his beloved man, with a capital M, made in his likeness, his with a capital H. Man, in other words, is offered a specific way of life on the earth which allows him to become aware of himself and all creation, to learn about and continue to carry out the divine program, contributing his own marvelous creations thereto. God desires from his Son, man, conjoint creation, and joy for all from its contemplation. There is no doubt that God's program exists, and it is not just a select group that can become acquainted with this program, but everybody who wishes to do so. The divine program is not set forth in letters or hieroglyphs on sheets of papyrus, but in living signs of nature. Nature as God has created it, and which belongs only to him. The minds and intellects of the people of the ancient Russian period still allowed them to read the grand book of the divine. Out of the billions of such letter signs, the majority of people living today are acquainted with but a few, and we must begin anew to study the divine alphabet. The book I am writing at the moment is not on a religious theme. It is not an attempt at sheer philosophizing. This book is a call to research, to become aware of the divine program. I am not about to teach anyone or preach anything. I only want to acquaint my readers with information on the culture of our forebears through the rites perfected by the wise men through careful calculation and designed to preserve family love and to call upon everyone to disprove or confirm the arguments presented. Footnote: Wiseman Volkvi, a reference to ancient scientists with particular knowledge of the workings of nature, often possessing exceptional powers. For further information, see footnote 13 in Book 7, Chapter 20. I was prompted to publish this material by the sayings and logical conclusions of the Siberian recluses, especially Anastasia. Publication is needed in order to let the information seep through the level of one's own feelings through collaborative efforts, and to start to act according to the logic of life, as well as in the hope that our generation will begin to contemplate and then accelerate the building of a new civilization for themselves and for their children. It is possible that Anastasia has conceptually outlined just the first point in the program of mankind's development, to wit, human society should study the divine program, using the materials God has provided, and transforming the whole planet into a marvelous paradise oasis, thereby creating a harmoniously balanced society for all living beings. Man's attainment of this level of life will open up possibilities for the creation of life on other planets and in other galaxies. Against the background of this grand concept, Anastasia first proposed the creation of family domains. Let us, too, begin our research by examining commonly known and outwardly simple issues.